unfortunately, she just a few days ago had offered for us to move the bakery into her chapel that is here on the same property. And then the following day decided that she didn't want to do that. She said she prayed on it. And it just came to her that it would be too much traffic. And with the weather changing, she didn't feel good about the products sitting outside and the bad weather possibly being tracked into the chapel. And I told her I understood that. And we have a covered porch area. So I reassured her that I had planned on moving the bakery to the covered porch. And we have a canopy, therefore it would be covered, this, that, and the other. And then her reasoning switched to the trailer that we live in is an older mobile home, and she's afraid that it can't handle the workload. So I'm not sure exactly what she meant by that. I did reassure her that I know that the neighbor that rents down the driveway had complained last week about the traffic and his wife not being able to get in her parking spot, that sort of thing. And I had reassured her that we've not had any issues or complaints since then, and she agreed there's not been any complaints. But I think she's afraid there may be complaints. So I think it's easier for her to just kind of ask me to stop rather than risking there being complaints. Ours is just a small mobile home here on the property, and we pay a very minimal amount compared to what he pays for that, large Morton building. So of course you're going to want to keep that client happy as well. So I kind of understand where she's coming from, but it really puts us in a pickle as everybody's really just discovering us and discovering where we're at. And we've already had to move it from the roadside back to the mobile home. And now we're having to move completely out of the mobile home and find a new residence that's going to allow for the traffic, the influx of traffic, which we're super grateful for, absolutely super grateful for. And when I explained to her that, I absolutely cannot stop baking. This is what's paying the bills, what's supplementing my income that's lost, what's paying for my expensive treatments. And she asked, well, what about the GoFundMe? And I said, well, the GoFundMe has reached about $35,000, but it's kind of plateaued out now. People have kind of stopped giving, and she said, well, is it a one-time thing? And I said, no, it's definitely ongoing, but it's just kind of plateaued out as GoFundMe's do, and we're very grateful for that 35,000. However, that's only 3 months worth of treatment, and I plan to live a lot longer than 3 months, and at least I hope to. And she said, well, the only thing I can say is that I will give you through September to continue to bake and have the stand here. But then I want you to depend on the GoFundMe and have faith that people are going to continue to give and pray on it and go from there. And that only gives me 1 month. And I cannot count on people continuing to give in upwards of $10,000 every single month on the GoFundMe. I can more so count on people buying my baked goods than I can on the GoFundMe. So I have to continue my baked goods. I have repeat customers. I have people that are placing orders 2 and 3 days a week. I'm getting my products out there. They're well loved. It's not just a sob story, if you will. It may have started that way, but people are really truly falling in love with my product as well, and I want to keep that going. I plan to beat this and get this cancer into remission and make this, into a storefront and into a business and into something big. But right now, I'm just not capable of doing that. And I'm definitely not capable of doing it financially with the medical bills that we have, So a move is not in our finances either, but
It's going to have to be.
it's going to have to be. And that expense is going to have to come out of my medical fund, my cancer care fund, to be able to have that happen.
This sounds like a lot to process and figure out in a short amount of time almost.
It is. And not to throw more in there, but this is all just days before the 4-year anniversary of us losing our daughter. We just lost our daughter 4 years ago on August the 30th to suicide. And I'm putting together a suicide benefit show, awareness show, because of this. And I'm dealing with cancer, and I have treatment on Friday. And, I have a lot going on. And like I expressed to her, this is absolutely the last thing that I needed, was to have to move, to have to deal with the stress of restructuring my bakery and redirecting all of my customers to a whole new location and hoping they'll travel maybe even further north or further east or wherever I might end up, hoping they'll travel to me. I've become established here now, so it's hard. It's really hard, but it is what it is, and we're going to make the best of it, and it's got to be happening for a reason. So
Yeah, I mean, that's almost what you have to do.